Gary, round 16 and a 33-point loss to Williamstown. How have you sort of processed it in the days that have followed?
Yeah, obviously the start was pretty significant for Williamstown. I think they had 5 goals, 4 on the board in probably 23 minutes, I think it might have been, and obviously that's primarily what the end result as far as the losing margin goes. I think we allowed them to dictate the way they wanted to play. We became extremely reactive. I think the fact that we're able to sort of at certain times score goals, but when you only score 1 point in a quarter and the opposition went in at three-quarter time in a pretty significant position, and then the last quarter we just touched on the fact that we're able to, I guess, outscore them. But you know, there's so many different factors that come into play. From that point of view, the game itself was too much in relation to a swing in form. So for 5 weeks we probably had reasonable contributions, but then in a game that mattered a fair bit, we obviously had too many guys that were either not able to even break even with their opponent. And I think I went in at half time and we had 15 players that individually had less than 10 possessions. So 15 players out of 23, if they're not going to hit the scoreboard in a functioning manner, it does make it hard to win the game. So in the end, for, what was it, 33 points. Yep. So we got taught how to play footy from a side that obviously is match hardened and experienced, and obviously what we've got to now do to reflect and hopefully give us some ammunition, or as a coaching staff, some ammunition to take to the players to get it right for the rest of this week and beyond.
And so you could look at the game a few different ways, and you touched on it a little bit, but obviously the start really hurt us, and I'm assuming that will be a big focus this week. But can you also take a few positives out of the game in terms of the fact that we were able to basically, after that initial 20-minute burst, match it with what we think are the current benchmark of the competition?
Yeah, you can certainly look at it that way, and I guess it comes back to the old adage, is the glass half empty or half full? And, you know, I don't give the players any excuses as to why we don't play well and why we do play well. It's really got to be laid out on the table for them, and they've got to be accountable and responsible. I didn't actually think that training Friday night was of any, I guess, great, what I would say, intensity. Yep. So whether that has I guess a softening of the mental side of it, but we can't be selective in how we think we're going to turn up for each particular game, and their skills in the wet was obviously pretty significant. I thought we were very fumbly, and we did certainly let the pressure get to us. But you're right, I think after quarter time we actually scored 8 goals and they scored 9. So, but also too, we kicked, what was it, 10-5, and they kicked 14-11 or 13 or 12 or whatever it was. So that's 27 scoring shots to only 15. So it's a pretty significant, I guess, ability inside 50, and that's been an area all year where we just haven't been able to get, more often than not, a real good, efficient, cohesive forward half. So that's something that's just got to be a work in progress, mate.
And the Development League, really pleasing for them to pull off a great victory, which does their finals chances no harm, but also just as exciting to see Sammy Spud Dwyer get through a half a footy in his return from injury and actually play pretty well.
Yeah, and he pulled up well. I spoke to him after the game on Saturday and he was pretty happy, albeit that at times, because of what we had to do in relation to the condition weather, we had to play a lot of the ball on this side of the ground, so it was a bit hard to get him back on the ground at certain times, but that was by design to a degree. I wasn't really that fussed about that. So yeah, we'll ascertain what he has to do this week to actually be a little bit better in relation to fitness wise, and we'll make a decision later on the week about what we think's best going forward, because obviously we've got Ballarat and then we've got a bye, and then we've got the 3 weeks in August, so hopefully we're keep building. Golby's another one that should be right for selection this week, so that's a real positive for Mitch. Just got to satisfy me in a couple of areas, and the boys in the development team played pretty well, and guys like Jake McKenzie, Mitchy Hayes, Tommy Gordon, Harvey Hooper, and Tommy Hobbs had a really good game. So I think there's some really good, I guess, options for us, depending on what we find will be the best team to pick to hopefully beat Ballarat later in the week.
And that clash with North Ballarat does take on a bit of an extra level of importance now to try and bounce off that weekend's loss, but also hopefully enter our second bye next weekend with another win under the belt, heading into that last 3 weeks of the season.
Most definitely, and we've got to make sure that we're very clear on what we need to do to get the 4 points this week. Obviously, we played Ballarat up there quite a few weeks ago, and they were pretty impressive. So we've got to make sure that our sole focus is about hitting the bye with hopefully a win, and then we'll just adjust and do what we have to do during that bye week off, and then see what we've got available in the last 3 weeks, as I said, because we've got to keep building. We've had 5 pretty reasonable weeks out of 6, and we certainly want to continue that, and I guess just rejuvenate for what we need to do, and just keep working on the things that hopefully will make us a better side come the end of the season.
Gary, thanks for your time today, and best of luck this week.
Go on you, Sam.